Most welcome to Humanist TV Africa. My name is Akatom Kasa, and every Sunday, whenever it is possible, we have Pastor Solomon Male from Uganda, who always is here to share with us knowledge and enrich our audience about a number of issues, social, political, economic issues, especially that bedevil Africa. In the studio to do the production is Dennis Bongole, and of course, Pastor Male is with us. Today is episode 3. I'll be reminded by our producer. We shall be handling CULTS. We are handling the topic of CULTS, their effects, especially on the people in Africa. You are watching us live. Pastor Mother Solomon Male, right there from Uganda. Pastor Male, you are most welcome.
It's a pleasure to feature on Humanist TV. Dear viewers and listeners, you're much welcome to this show. I'm Pastor Moses Solomon Male. I'm an activist against decadence, against the rotten society. And when it comes to religious entities, I think I top it up. Because I believe in the cassocks, people in the pews, people who lead in religious circles must be exemplary when it comes to morality, when it comes to clerics, when they would be icons of morality. Turn out it's regret. Man chosen and called by God to address that as for weak, the poor, the oppressed, then I feel duty bound to do just that. That's why we have to continue addressing. And unfortunately, even formerly thought to be authentic religious or having some exhibits of cults here and there, then the worst happens. That's why you see that in many countries, especially when it comes to the third, including Africa, as the politique and the military oppress their people, the clergy have to keep their mouths shut because they know the moment they speak out, they will be targeted either for the acts they've committed themselves personally, or the acts of their colleagues, or the acts of their institutions. And that's why we need to address the issue of cults, not only here in this country, Uganda, because as you may have been following, cults are everywhere. It's a universal, especially where people are so desperate, breakthroughs are looking for solutions to their real target, ruining them, wrecking them, destroying them. Men have ended up losing their wealth. Men have ended up losing their property. Continue to fall victims.
Yeah, that's Pastor Mother Solomon Male.
Times of ignorance.
Thank you so much, Pastor Mother Solomon Male. We have challenges of the internet. Remember, This is
so that's why
we need to address. Yes, thank you so much. That is Pastor Mother Solomon Male. We shall get him back better And this is the live talk show. You will also understand, as usual, that we normally have challenges between doing this live talk show in different countries, different continents. But Pastor Moses Solomon Male right there is making an introduction. This is part 3 of understanding cults. Understanding cults. The topic, the show is called The Bitter Truth, and the topic today is understanding cults. And this is part 3 with Pastor Solomon Malay in the studio. And we are grateful to have him here. Pastor Solomon Malay is going to continue to take us through episode 3. We have been discussing what are cults. We got 2 definitions in the last episodes, but of course, Pastor Solomon Malay also gave us a wide spectrum of what it means to be in a cult. Today, he's going to give us another definition of cults from a different angle, but also it's going to widen the scope of understanding what are cults. Today is a Christmas, no, is the Easter holiday. We are into Easter holidays, and of course, people are having lots of celebrations, fun, going to church, and all that. We are asking a question: until in a cult, until being exploited by some of these cults. So this show is purposely intended to expose people to know who are chaotic leaders and what are cults. Remember, Pastor Solomon Mali told us that actual cults are not only in churches. You can have cults in schools, you can have cults in political parties, you can have cults in mosques. The Islamic teachings can also promote cults. You can have cults almost everywhere, including in businesses. So the moment you understand what a cult is, then you understand how to avoid cults. Welcome back, Mr. Solomon Male. Pastor Male is going to continue right from where we stopped. Pastor Male, we are listen.
Thank you very much, my brother Kato, and everybody. We as bitter truth. That is the topic. Now, we started the introduction of cults, and as I told you, and we are still handling the first definition of perspective, which is given by the cult means cult. And I've already handled cultivation. The first process of empty to be ready to be indicted, to be sessions or full sessions. People may even be taken away. I remember years back, I handled a young boy who I met in Kagoma, who was aged about 12 years. When I was introduced, was Pastor Male. They introduced himself to me as one who had been to a madrasa school in Mombasa, and that in there he had been taught to kill. This was way back, I think that was around 1994-5. He had been to Mombasa, madrasa. Madrasa is a Muslim school which purely concentrates on teaching religion. And he told me that if he kills, he is rewarded by God. If he kills for the sake of God, he is rewarded. And you see, That's a teaching, it's an information that is given to a young man who grows up thinking or believing killing is acceptable by God. Once you say you are killing, no, the killings in we say that they are fighting against people go to the front line to die, and as they die they say Allahu Akbar. So totally equated to the cult practice of indoctrination. Now we want so I also told you that when rains don't fall, when rains don't fall, a prudent farmer irrigates, adds fertilizers. And I said the watering and the addition of fertilizers that a farmer does is equated to the cultic practice of new teachings, new beliefs, new tactics, new rituals. Think you saw Kakande. He has come up with God's office. Then people come problems, and he stamps that God actually not anything. No healing is taking place, but he's simply manipulating the followers has power to perform miracles. And then the people who just set up, they are not real victims. They are not with people's problems. So that's why he recently formed up, brought up, and it on his TV, and people watch. People are there. People are full. Then recently he comes up with a new tactic. He said that he's now praying for people's dreams, and he said whoever wants to achieve his dream, he pays or she pays $300. That's a new tactic. And at the end of the day, he said if you want to build a storied building, you want to buy a plane, you want, and he mentioned everything. He cited a lot of things, and these are what people need. These are what people want. When we were still young, they used to ask us, what do you want to become? A pilot. What do you want to become? An engineer. What do you want to become? A lawyer. What do you want to become? A rich man. All of those childhood wishes Kakande talks about. And he says, you pay $300, then he prays for you. I think he has set up a day when people must bring in $300. Now, $300 converted to Uganda shillings, that's about 1.2 million shillings. If he gets 1,000, that's over 1 billion shillings. Just a matter of coming up with a trick. Even if he spends about 100 million to set up these people who are going to ceremony, you spend 100 million, and then you get 1 billion minus the 100 million. That's a difference of 900 million. You become richer. So that's how all these criminals are now fooling people. Okay, you remember Bujingo came up with building Pentagon. Pentagon was a very good catchy word. Pentagon is the defense department of the USA. That's where the Army Command Center is. The Pentagon. Pentagon to command Jesus' work or God's work. People contributed money. And recently you saw videos coming up and say, Mubuza Pentagon, you are asking for, you are questioning Pentagon. Pentagon, is it for your mother? Pentagon Nyuko. He was actually, people who had contributed money. He's now questioning them. Is it for their mother? So that they are so concerned about Pentagon. That's the new beliefs, new rituals, new practices, new behavioral conduct. That's all typical of cults. Now, let's get to the fourth process of cultivation. What does a farmer do after planting, after preparing the land, then planting or sowing, then fertilizing the land, adding fertilizers or irrigating? Of course, there is what we call weeds. Weeds can grow. When weeds grow, a prudent farmer plows. You go to your garden, you the crops, you remove the weeds. Now, that process of removal of healings and so on and so forth. Remember, in cults, dissent, when there is dissent from within, that is very, very much hated. Dissent from within is very, very much feared. Dissent from within is hard to contain, because the dissenters might come up and speak out and say what has been going on. So to stop dissent, many of the people who make it out of there, who want to leave the cult, and they have very vital information which is crucial to the survival or continuation of the cult, those people are usually eliminated. They must not be allowed to leave, because once they leave and they speak out, then the cult's debts will be seen. Let me tell you, they even claims, remember that man there, I think their claims, I think he's the one who has claimed having raised about 50 people, raising 50 dead. That means you must fake up miracles. Those are new. But now, eliminating.
Yeah.
Now, therefore, if dissent emerges from within, a dissenter may be expelled, a dissenter may be exculpated, a dissenter may be killed. Let me just give you an example. Let's go back to the Catholic Church. Initially, Martin Luther realizes that the church is making money out of the ignorance of people, and they are doing. They were building St. Peter's Basilica, and then they sought for a trick to raise. And Johannes Tetzel, who was a monk, came up with a trick, and he said, people want their dead. If we can tell them that if you have somebody who died whom you love, you get your money, put it into the offertory box. When that money falls to the bottom of the box, then that person's is expunged, and then it travels into the second heaven, which is purgatory. And that while in purgatory, that person can be prayed for, and all the sins are forgiven. When that teaching came about, the aim was to raise money to build St. Peter's Basilica and to finance the lifestyle of the Pope and his inner circles then. So, when Martin Luther realized that that was what was happening, ripping off the desperate who love their dead, he said, no way, but faith. He wrote 95 theses and pinned them on the wall at Wittenberg. His colleagues got so envious, and they reported him to Rome. So what Rome did was to call him to Rome. When he was going to Rome, he thought he was going to see holiness of the highest order. But when he gets to Rome, what does he see? He sees the Pope in sexual orgies, a Pope totally drunk, a Pope involved in this and that and indulgence. And he said, is this what they are teaching people? Ripping them, paying lifestyle of the Pope and his cronies here. Actually, so disappointed. But anyway, he had to hang on until he was finally told to go back to Germany. When he went to Germany, so they summoned him to the Diet of Worms, which is a court. And in that court, the kings were represented, the Pope was represented, the church as it was, the Catholic Church was represented. So, what was the crime that Martin Luther had committed, according to the church? Being a heretic. Being saying against the Catholic teachings. So they say this one is now deadly. Of course, he outreasoned him. Them. Then you can kill that man. He has sense in what he's talking. If the Pope is servicing the lifestyle of the Pope, then that can't be. But unfortunately, Germany was not as powerful as it is. The Pope wielded a lot of power in Europe. So even that king had to be slow, had to go slow. So what they did, they told Martin Luther, okay, you can go. On his way, leaving the Diet of Worms, they had waylaid him to kill him. The Catholic Church set up men who were going to kill him. Fortunately for him, one of the German kings actually ambushed him before he fell into an ambush. And then he fought. He said, no, where are you taking me? He said, no, we are saving you from being murdered. And that is the king who helped Martin Luther to even publish his works. So that is the Catholic Church. What happens? You remember Chiwetere killed long before he killed in mass. When I was living in Kakande, they paid a policeman, Mr. Walimba, to kill me just because they knew if I left, I would expose the filth, rot, and the terrors that Kakande and his wife Lois were causing on the followers who were desperate for life. Now, God with me. That's why you've seen many people disappearing in churches. Many others are killed. So don't be surprised when you see killings or when you hear killings in so-called religious circles. These happen because they fear that those who might want to live may expose the filth, may expose the secrets. That's why they kill. So, just like a farmer weeds out the weeds, in cults, they eliminate dissent. How do they eliminate dissent? Expulsion. If not expulsion, shaming. If not shaming, killing. Remember Dr. Chimbauma I talked about, who was Lois's practice of giving unboiled to people to drink. And this Dr. Chimba, a medical doctor, background, he had even studied in Greece. Kakande asked him, why are you talking ill of our water? Because of course they were using the water to rip off people. So Dr. Chimba actually started shaking before the congregation. Now Kakande asked him, you, a doctor, you put on second-hand suits, second-hand shirts. Of course, he couldn't say anything is new because he feared. And then they asked the congregation, what do we do? We keep what? There's no forgive him. Then eventually Kakande said, okay, fine. we are forgiving you. But on God, you go to Gaba, you go to where the natural stream pours into Lake Victoria. Get a jerrycan of water, bring it so that we pray for you to save you. Otherwise, you are going to die. Dr. Chimba, educated as he was, a medical doctor, not a doctorate awarded, but a medical doctor who knows the dangers of taking unboiled water. Moreover, Nakivo channel water, which is contaminated with sewage, Kampala sewage. Dr. Chimba went to that point, Lake Victoria. I understand he got a boat, then went there. While there, he filled a jerrycan of water, brought it the following Sunday. And when he brought it, then Kakanda and his wife told him, so now you've brought the water. Yes. Kakanda spat in the water. Poured, then he mixed it. Then he spat on the man's eyes. Even told him to open his mouth. He opened the mouth, opened him. Pooh! He spat.
Is that
now
so?
we are praying for you. Never and ever talk against our water again. That's how Dr. Chimba was ashamed. That's how he was belittled. That's how he was forced never to say anything about and to take
Pastor Male, I will come in right there.
Unboiled water where Kakanda spat his spat up.
I will come in right there because yes, I will come in right there because I see violation of human rights right there in that church. You have just said that a medical doctor was humiliated to the extent of being told he's putting on second-class suits, but of course, as if that wasn't enough, to be told to go and get water from that dirty channel, dirty Nachivuva channel, take that water, take it to the church, and then the pastor spats into that water and spats on his face in the full view of the congregation. Is that so? And no one realizes that this is actually a human right violation. This is an abuse. This is an abuse to a medical doctor. This is an abuse to an individual. And everyone is applauding. Everyone is cheering. And you are telling me that that water was drunk by the people? Did they drink this water? Where the pastor has put his part into it? That water, which has been actually made even more dirtier. And then people are taking this water. And no one is questioning this. So I'm just making an observation that this is absurd. It is absurd. It's beyond imagination. But Pastor Male, continue.
But you see, such abuses are common. Such abuses are common because Dr. Chimba had seen and he was reasoning, making people conscious that unboiled water is not suitable for consumption. To become intelligent. So that's why they did that to him. And from that point onward, Dr. Chimba never tasted the unboiled water again. Okay? So what I'm telling you is the solid truth. So now, at worst, dissidents are killed to ensure that trouble never comes out of them again. And what I'm telling you, there are some boys who used to be with Pastor Grace Chitaka. And someone told me that there was a Nyarwanda boy just because he wanted to speak out. Then there is Emma Magala. Emma was in and out of cells because he wanted to speak out about the abuses that Pastor Grace Chitaka was committing on him. These sexual abuses, sodomizing him. And when it comes to Robert Kayanja, the pastor, the chief sodomite in this country, many, actually, when you hear stories about his victims, many are either arrested and imprisoned and compelled to change statements, or they die after coming up with some dirt, like Tumukunde. Tumukunde is dead. He's one of the boys who accused Kayanja of sodomizing him in 2009. Now, because he could not use him any further, those he could use, he bribed. And after bribing, then he ruined. But this one, they told me he had to. And there's so many. Let me tell you, long country. But in the 80s, there was especially William Street and Luomo Street, just where Standard Chartered and formerly Cooperative Bank. Chigozi was a madman. So one day, Kakande picks him. You know, let me tell you something. A mad person is not always mad. There are times when these mad people gain consciousness. The challenge is at the point that where they gain consciousness, they usually don't get support. They don't get help, so that because it's relapses. Now, what happened? Sobered up. When he sobered up, Kayanja picks him with his, of course, people, the inner circle, and then he parades him on one of the crusades in Kampala, and he said he had cured him of madness. Everybody clapped. Now, I think he paraded him twice. He never paraded him again, and Chigozi disappeared. Now, later on, I inquired, years later, because I was very curious about Chigozi. Is he still alive? So they told me that Chigozi ate soap and died. Well, then the question arises, if he ate soap and he died, can a healed person eat soap? Of course, the answer is no. That simply that Chigozi was never healed of madness. But it was actually killed when he ran mad again, because Kayanja could not stomach him coming out and getting seen on the streets, because that would nullify the miracle that Kayanja had claimed to have performed on Chigozi. And if I'm lying, let Kayanja produce Chigozi. Pastor Robert Kayanja, Bisiyaga, Miracle Center. Let him produce Chigozi. If he cannot produce Chigozi, let him tell us what happened to him. Let him and his family, of course, he may go out and probably bribe the family to say this and that. But what I know is, one group says he ate soap and died. The other group says he was killed. The fact is, he was never cured of madness. That means he had to be eliminated at all costs, so as not to invalidate or nullify the myth that Kayanja had claimed to have performed on Chigozi, and the very reason his church was called Miracle Center, because he, in faking up a miracle of healing Chigozi, which was not true. Now, many of the people who quit the homosexuality cult and have dared to expose it have faced enormous challenges. I don't know how many victims have gotten out of police cells. There are those who have helped in court to get justice, but those who have been sodomized and then arrested by the systems, because the sodomists have connections to state power, very many. And the truth is that many are actually silent. They cannot even dare to come out and say they were abused. Similarly, women who have been abused by the Catholic clergy, they cannot come out. Even the Pentecostal clergy or Anglican clergy, they cannot come out. Some of them are married. There's no way they can come out to say, I was abused, I was raped, I was defiled, I was sexually abused or molested, and so on and so forth. They cannot. So we have so many people out there who are silent. They are silent because they fear they can be killed if they spoke out. I remember when I met Kamal. He saw me on TV, on radio, and even had me on radio, UBC. There's an issue you've not yet handled, and I choose. At the cathedral, which cathedral? Rubaga Miracle Center Cathedral. And he said, my pastor, Robert Kayanja, and said, and when we met, he shed tears as he shared with me the
right there, Pastor Malay.
Habales, the Nyunyintonos, the Pastor Mukasa.
You are watching us live wherever you are. It is the Humans TV Africa, and in the studio is Pastor Moses Solomon Malay. We always have a discussion with him on a range of issues, especially issues to do with social, political, economic issues in Africa. But this time around, we are talking about cults and their impact in Africa, and we are focusing first on Uganda. And this is episode number 3, where Pastor Malay walks us through how church celebrities, church pastors in Uganda basically commit lots of atrocities in the name of praying for people, and of course in the name of being the anointed one and making miracles. But also he has been mentioning on the other side of it all, where these very pastors, some of them are allegedly committing practices that are, of course, right now in Uganda being talked about so much, issues of homosexuality and all that stuff. But the same pastors come out and spread all this kind of hate. But at the same time, some of them are being accused of actually doing the same thing. They openly question and hate. So Pastor Malay, among others, has been known as a person that has been exposing some of these pastors that allegedly said to be committing these very things they accuse others to do. Issues to do with homosexuality, of course. And of course, he has been talking about theft in church. We've been talking about deception in church, fake miracles in church, and all that. So we always have Pastor Malay here, and we give him the liberty to share with us on a number of topics, a number of issues. And our role is to interrogate, but also to keep on learning from him, because Pastor Malay is one of the members, one of the initiators, one of the people behind one of the biggest churches in Uganda. He left it because he disagreed with the principle of this church, the Kakande Ministries Church. He was the second in command in this church. And Pastor Malay, over the years, has come out in the public to say, look, what is being done in this church is wrong. People are being fleeced. There are no miracles in this church. There is a lot of gambling in this church. There is a lot of bad things going on in this church. There is criminality in this church. So Pastor Malay became a darling to many people who love criticisms, who many people want to hear the other side of the story, because he came out as a pastor who has been part of a bigger church in Uganda to say, look, everything is being stage managed. No pastor could do that. He's a pastor who has come out to criticize fellow pastors and say they are not on the right track. In fact, these are money makers. So in today's topic, we are talking about cults, and this is episode number 3. where Pastor Mali defines for us what a cult is, and then goes ahead to give us different examples of a cult. This show is called The Bitter Truth, and the topic today is understanding cults, of course, with Pastor Mali. Now, in the first two episodes, Pastor Mali defined a cult. Again, in this episode, he has defined it using the example of a field, a farmer who cultivates. When a farmer cultivates, it reaches a point when bad weed comes out, and then he has to weed out the bad weed to keep the good ones. And he's using that analogy of a church where pastors are always fearing criticisms. They are going to get out the bad guys, like Pastor Mali. Whoever is criticizing them becomes the weed. You must kill them or get them out. So these are the examples Pastor Mali has been giving, to the extent that actually medical doctors are being fooled in these churches, lawyers, engineers. In other words, people you think are educated get fooled in these churches. So here we come to learn from him. We come to listen to him. And of course, we ask questions where we don't understand issues, but we want to understand exactly how these cults work. Remember, Pastor Mali told us that actually cults are not only within churches. He has given us the example of madrasa. Madrasa is a school that teach lots of Islamic teachings, and how they end up indoctrinating young people into militants. He has given that example. He has given us example of the Catholic Church. He was giving us examples of Martin Luther and others. He is very rich when it comes to understanding these issues and giving us a wide variety of examples in understanding these issues, of course, across Africa and beyond. So I'll go back to Pastor Mali to have him back and continue with this show. Remember, Pastor Mali, this is our third part on understanding cults in Uganda, and we're going to be concluding it today to start another topic next week. Pastor Mali, over to you.
Yes. So now, when it comes to cults, I think you've seen Pastor Karoli told me that he had done the best. When Kakande needed money for the victims, he would tell Karoli and his team to raise the money. So Karoli, and then deceive the people that it's now time to sow. If you have a free it all, properties to Miracle Center, and then the Kalolis would put them money, then pay off the victims. Now, the moment Kalori, Pastor Kalori Commando, Pastor Mukasa, Godfrey, Pastor seemed like wanting to come up and expose their boss, Kayanja simply banished them from Miracle Center. He only tried to get them back when the issue of Sodom came up, and he wanted them to stand by him so that he may be covered on Sodom. But still recently, you see, Pastor Kalori Commando comes up and opposes a video clip that is making rounds on the internet, where Pastor Kalori shows Subuga Commando alleged to have been confessing or repenting to Pastor Kayanja. And Pastor Kalori said, no, I'm not repenting. I last went to Miracle Center over 10 years ago. I've never visited. I last visited Namutebi over 10 years ago. Chiwewe over 10 years ago. That means he's now distancing himself from the Miracle Center sodomy churches, where boys are victimized, where even women are initiated, and then when victims try to speak out, they are terrorized. So Kalori now comes up, and when I talked to Kalori, he said, I fear I may lose my life. That was 2006. I asked him, why don't you come up? He said, my dear, I can lose my life. Then he told Brother Mari, for you God has They you for the anointed you for that, you can do it and go scot-free. But me, if I dare to come out, I can be shot, I can be killed. So that's how terrified the man was. Now, finally, in cultivation, when crops are considered mature enough for harvesting, a prudent farmer harvests in time. What happens? In cults, the harvesting process compares with one, the sexual abusing, sodomizing the victims or the boys or the girls, then ripping off followers, okay, where they are prepared to bring their money. After bringing their money, they harvest nothing, they get nothing. Let me tell you a true story. 2006, 2007, who was member of Pastor Tom Sembera's church in Zambia. But she also used to frequent what we call Cineplex. There was Cineplex. He used to hold lunch hour services there in Cineplex. Now, a woman whose husband is in the UK calls calls her and tells her that I want to send you money so that you buy land and we build a house. The woman ran immediately to Pastor Tom Sembera, and she told him that, Pastor, thanks for praying for me. Do you know what's happening? God is working a miracle for us. Then he said, what is it? My husband called me and said he was going to send me money so that we buy and build a house. Pastor Sembera said, oh, I've seen it. But then God has told me that the spirit of changing his mind. Now, you see, this woman had been brainwashed to believe that Tom Sembera was a prophet. So now, when she goes to him so that he can pray for the money and to explain. So Tom Sembera says, I see your husband has a spirit of changing mind. He may not send the money, although he has promised to send the money. So let me pray for you, and I cast out that spirit. Then he said, like he prays. So the woman believed she had been prayed for. Then Tom Sembera goes ahead with Muzungu's demons, white man's demons. So bring it, pray for it, and cleanse it of the Bazungu demon. They believed it. The husband called the woman and said, I'm sending the money. You buy the land, then we start the house. So the woman, on the day that she received, but he has a TV station in Zambia, and he says, Pastor, what do I do? Oh, you come to lunch hour, bring it to lunch hour.
Right there, Pastor Male is telling us details of how cults work in Uganda. I wanted to also add in, as he comes back, for our viewers to understand exactly how cults work. First of all, what we are learning from this show is that basically cults will isolate their members from friends. This is what is being done in many churches in Africa. You are isolated from your friends, from your family, and of course from the outside. And they tell you, if you associate with them, they are sinners, you will be punished. God is going to punish you. But of course, they put doubts in you, but also they don't allow you to question much about what's going on within the cult. Also, cults include sacrifices. They always tell you to sacrifice, give them money, including selling your property. This is how cults do work. They want money from your followers, from their followers, and they don't allow you to question whatever they tell you. Whatever they tell you in a cult is the gospel truth. So Pastor Male is wrapping up how cults work in the world, not only in Africa, but in the world. And as we wrap up this show, Pastor Male, I would like you to use the remaining minutes to give us the basic signs to watch out to avoid cults. The basic signs you have written a book, I understand, on cults. So we wanted to look at exactly what should be the basic indicators of cults in a summary to warn our viewers to be aware of cults.
And the truth is that everyone is gullible. So I think I continue. Now,
Continue.
tells the woman,
Pastor Mike, right there, we are being challenged by the issues of network, but of course we are going to be able to have him back in a minute. And I was summarizing what we have learned in the last 2 episodes, but of course this is the third part of understanding cults. And I was telling you that what cults do, whatever they are, one, there is a higher power. In a cult, there is a cult leader. There is someone you follow, and this person has all the powers. You don't question them. Remember, Pastor Mike said that actually a cult can be a political party. A cult can be in a madrasa, an Islamic school. A cult can be in a Catholic church, can be in a born-again church. Cults can be everywhere, even in businesses. We have seen things to do with pyramid savings, scams, money scams. So you have someone you don't question. You have someone you simply follow blindly. It becomes a cult. And in cults, we have also learned that there is collection of money. Always someone is asking you to give them money, including selling your property. We have learned that. But also, we have learned that there's a fear. They put fear in you. Pastor Male gave us examples of trading, gave us of examples in the USA, gave us examples of course, Crush and others. He gave us examples in Kenya. We have seen this pastor killing hundreds of people in Kenya. People are dead because they were following this cult without questioning. He has given us examples in Uganda, of course, so many examples. Examples in Nigeria. We have got all these examples. So as we wrap up this show, we are saying that regardless of your education, regardless of your level of education, a cult leader is going to dominate you. They are going to make you weaker. They are going to make you not question them, and they are going to make you give them your money. So cults thrive on fear. Cults thrive on asking for money. Cults thrive on having a higher power that is not questioned. So this is what we are learning from these 3 episodes. And of course, Pastor Male has been able to define cults from different angles. And he gave us an example of a garden, a cultivator, a farmer. You prepare the garden, then you put in the seeds, then you allow them to germinate, and you begin pruning. You begin taking off the weeds so that you can remain with whatever is good to you. This is what a cult does. They have to remain with only those who are loyal to them. So as we conclude,
as I was saying,
as we conclude, yes. Go ahead, continue. Pastor Male, continue. You are muted right now. The network is a bit of a challenge. Pastor Male, you are muted. Pastor Male, we can't hear you. You are muted. May you please unmute yourself? Yes. I can't hear you. Yes, I can hear you now. Please continue, Pastor Mali. Yeah, internet,
This
and of course,
lady calls Pastor Sembera that have received the money. Pastor Sembera tells her, bring it to lunch hour, Cineplex. The woman goes with the money during our started earlier than usual. When Pastor Sembera sees the woman, then he starts prophesying. And God is saying that you bring it and sow land and build 3 houses. The woman kept quiet, didn't move, because she had already told the pastor. Or the pastor moved again to say, woman, have you refused? The woman still kept quiet, didn't move. She had the money. She was asked for somebody to pray for the money, and she goes with it because
right there, Pastor Mali is giving in another example of a pastor who actually uses all these tactics to deceive people right there and take their hard-earned money. So all in this, what we are learning is that cults do with your money. They find ways to take your money. They find ways to persuade you and also to intimidate you into giving them their your money. They will give you whatever you have in the name of building a church, in the name of building a project. This is how basically cults work. And this is what I've learned in this show. We have learned the characteristics of cults, and we have got different examples from different parts of the world, exactly understanding how cults work. Pastor Mali, as we conclude, Pastor Mali, please, as we conclude, let us wrap up with the
so
takeaways
Tom
from this show.
Sembera went to the extent. Fine. Now, Pastor Sembera said, you woman, if you refuse to bring your money, the Lord is showing me that money is going to be stolen from you. But if it is stolen, don't come back. So eventually he said, have you refused to bring it? Then he said, I'm going to count 3. If you don't bring the money, never ever come to me to cry. So now the woman felt self-conviction that probably it must be her who the pastor was talking to. So she stood up with the money and everybody clapped, thinking that the pastor had seen with his spiritual eye the woman went to the extent of taking pictures which are not of the husband was waiting to see, sending them to the husband in the UK, and then deceiving him that his sibling to the woman. So now the sibling meets the woman that we need to go and see the house. The woman says, oh, I'm busy, but we can do it, I'll call you. So the sibling goes away, the sibling of the husband. Now the woman runs straight to Zambia, tells the pastor, you remember how I gave the money during the service? What are you saying? And you see, you told me that the money would be multiplied and I would build 3 houses. But instead, it's now 3 months I've not bought land or built any. And the husband give the money. Did you give it to me or to... No, you are not God, but can you rush God? Said pastor. Now I beg that at least I get back the money that I gave. Then December told her, you will fool fool. God does not want fools. You go away. And he walked away. When he walked away, the woman realized she had lost everything. She went into a shop which was selling poison, bought poison, went back home, wrote a death note, and took the poison and died. Betsy told me the story in pain, and she said, pastors, when it comes to in Uganda, but nobody bothered about it because we have a lot of indifference in this country when it comes to people who have been hurt, either by under guise of religion or even state. People just look on and say, Casta, it's not me. My time will also come. Now, when it comes to ripping off, sexually abusing, that is the final process. Similar to the harvesting. Boys are sodomized after a long process. Women are sexually abused after a long process. People are ripped off. They give over their car. Remember Frances Adro, a HIV victim, who gave over her car to Universal Church of the Kingdom of God, which had promised her healing if she sacrificed the car. She sacrificed the car. She was never healed. And she asked, does God need? And then they blamed her for lack of faith. Even when Jesus said that put the onus of faith on the person who claims to have powers or to have even spoken to God. You cannot blame a follower, a believer, a hearer that he has lacked faith. Jesus said, if you had now, is not an issue with a believer, because you remember in the Bible, Lazarus was dead. Did he have faith? Jesus raised him. Jesus raised him because he had the faith. When it comes to Naaman the leper, the prophet cured him. Even when Naaman doubted, he said, you're telling me, why did he tell me to go and dip myself in Jordan? And there are rivers in our home. There is Euphrates, there is Tigris. If I don't heal, then of course the servant told him that no, if the man of God had told you to do otherwise, wouldn't you have done it? Then he said, okay, I'm going to dip myself in the Jordan, but if I don't heal. Naaman never dipped himself, but he dipped himself in with this. If to now, how then do you blame a follower, a believer, a person that he or she does not have faith? That's why a miracle has not taken place. This is total ripping off the final process that is compared or equated to the farming process of harvesting. So people, they lose their savings, they lose everything in the name of God, in the name of the Lord, in the name of the Spirit, in the name of Jesus. We need to be aware of that. Finally, that concludes our first definition of the term cult. When we come back, we'll tackle the second cult that is given by anthropologists and sociologists. I know the first definition already is equated to the farming process, okay, where a farmer sows, a farmer prepares land. In cults, they brainwash. When a farmer sows, when a farmer irrigates, or adds manure, when soils have lost their fertility, new beliefs, new rituals, and then or the process of weeding that the farmer does is killing, eliminating, shaming, okay, and causing havoc in the life of whoever may disclose the rot in that group. And then finally is to the cult's process of ripping off, sexually abusing, and all that happens in cults. There's a lot you've learned, and you need to take time to scrutinize whatever is brought to you as faith, whatever is brought to you as a ritual, new practice, new what. Be open-minded. And in this teaching that we are conducting, we need to be open-minded. We need to be broad-minded. Don't be polarized. Polarity will cause you not to love and not to like and not to learn what we are saying or what we are saying on this show or what I'm teaching you on this show. So may God bless you. Question, ask it and I answer it. I respond.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, Mr. Male. And of course, we are going to be,
Yes, Mr.
we are going to be.
Kato, I'm waiting for a question
Yes.
from you. If you
Yes,
have
sir.
it.
Yes, yes. Mr. Petro Amala, Mr. Petro Amala is watching us from Uganda. Mr. Petro Amala, thank you so much for watching. Simply sent a message to say good show. So, Pastor Male, people are watching you, and of course, they are appreciating you. And
Yes.
I want to thank you so much for sparing the time to make it here at Humanist TV Africa, especially on this beautiful day. You, as a pastor, you should be having time with your family, but we spared it to have it with us here to teach us about cults, but also to show our viewers how to avoid cults. Pastor Mullen, I want to ask a question, but I will just say that in conclusion, I'll just say what I'm learning from you, and of course, what the audience is learning from you, and that basically cults are out there to deceive people, and cults are out there to get money from people, but also cults, sadly, seem to be having the protection of the people in power. Because if you say, as you have said rightly so, that a certain Pastor Sembela took money from a lady, money meant to build a house, and then he tells this lady that, look, you gave this money to God, and I'm not God, therefore go and find your money from God, whatever it was. And then this lady kills herself. I wonder if no one took on this matter to police. Pastor Mali, if I may ask a question finally, why don't people that have been aggrieved take these matters to police or to courts of law? Because in law, if someone tells you a lie, then you give him money, that will be earning money by false pretense. They are earning money by false pretense. If you tell me, if I give you this money, tomorrow I will have 3 plots of land. You have given me a promise, and I'm giving you money to have the plots of land. Now, if I don't get this money, legally, I must take you on and sue you, especially if I have evidence and the people were willing to come out and say, yes, he told Pastor Male told Kato that if you give me 5 millions, tomorrow I'm going to multiply it to 15. The question I'm asking is, why don't people go to police? Why don't people go to courts of law? Because this is earning money through false pretense. Back to Pastor Male.
Now, Mr. Kato, we have a sting that is fellow lawyers are not ready and not willing to tackle the clerics. Say, man, the system. If you come up and you are asked for evidence, the man can stand up and say, no, I never forced her to give the money. And moreover, the woman is already dead. The woman, before that, the woman, I think, would see the man so connected to the system, the what. So she would not dare. These are men who stand on television sets and start campaigning publicly for the president, Museveni, who start campaigning, talking well about all these powerful fellows. So when they talk, the victims fear to antagonize men and women who are in corridors of power. That's why many their lives or they choose silence. But that's why, if you remember, years ago, I recommended a commission of inquiry or a judicial probe, which would be victim friendly. The police, you are the one reporting, you become the criminal. Why are you reporting? Where is the evidence? Why did you give it? So they ask all sorts of intimidating questions. Yet all these men, like Kakande, Sember, and others, Kahiyanja, they would also be in jail. If I had the leadership of this country, they would be in jail totally, because they are total criminals who are ripping off people, who are abusing them, who are manipulating them for their own gain. They're doing this under government. Besides that, they are committing all sorts of criminality in the name of the Lord God. You see, he's protected. Even when a man dies in his car, he's shot. No one investigates Bujin. Say we've 20 leads us to the person who killed. Yet the first suspect is there and he's living, but he's a campaigner of His Excellency Kaguta Museveni and is part of the MK project. Now, what are you talking? Why? How do you expect somebody small to go and dare such men who are connected in corridors of power? That's why there's a lot of silence, even as people continue to lose their properties, lose loved ones, get ruined, so-called race.
Thank you, Pastor Male. The question is well answered. People
and I'm telling you this because I've battled them, I've confronted them. My brother Chaze, Michael Chaze, one day tried to clean up the mess again. And he told me that he was shocked that some of the men he was trying to confront had guns. A pastor in the pew, but with a gun, a pistol or an AK-47 gun. How would you dare such a person? Even followers know that people are connected. They have guns, they have arms. So how do you think they can confront them? That's why it's education. We need to educate them. There are so many cases I've handled, so many victims I've met, so many stories I know. But the best way, that's what I said, we need to educate them. You know, Jesus said, we need to tell people the bitter truth. Is what saves. The bitter truth is what gives you life in total. Not this cosmetic.
Thank you so much, Pastor Male. This is the bitter truth. It's so the show we have today. And Pastor Male, thank you so much, Pastor Male. And really, you have given us a great lesson today. And what I've got from it is that we should be open-minded. We should question everything. And this is the takeaway home you get from today's segment. This is episode 3 of Understanding CULTS, and of course with Pastor Male as the lead pastor, the lead discussant on this panel. The topic is Understanding CULTS, and the show is called The Bitter Truth with Pastor Male, Moses Solomon Male, here on Sunday. Thank you so much, Pastor Male. I want you to give us your parting shot for today as we conclude. Give us your parting shot as we prepare for the next show give us your parting shot. What is your last comment for today?
So, yeah, we'll handle the issue of the as understood by anthropologists, and my urge and my call: don't hate me, even if you may. Digest that truth, digest the facts that have relayed to you. Ask, if you're godly, ask God. Ask, why now? Why would Mary come out and say openly and publicly without mincing words? What I'm telling you is the truth. Never hate truth. You've been minded, as my brother Kato said, it's the
Thank you so much, Pastor Male. It has been an honor to have you today. And of course, there is our happiness having you today and every other show you have been doing with us. We are happy to host yours and be
God
able
bless.
to educate our people on a number of issues. Pastor Male, right there, is a pastor in Uganda and is a farmer, but also a poultry farmer. He owns a hatchery and of course does poultry business, sells the chicks, the hens, and the eggs and the feeds. The number of Pastor Mare is right there on the screen. You may contact him to give him business. This is the only way he can be able to do the work he does. He does a lot of media advocacy, he does a lot of PR, he does a lot of human rights work in Uganda. So we encourage you to please work with Pastor Mare in terms of supporting his business right there in Kawempe, and the numbers are right on your screen. Pastor Malik will be back on this very screen, and next Sunday we shall be still handling this very big topic of CULTS. How do we handle CULTS? We have been handling them phase in phase, phase into phase, defining them and then giving examples so that people can be able to wake up and know how to avoid CULTS. So thank you so much for being part of this show. And of course, Dennis Bongo in the studio. Thank you so much for doing the production of the show. We want to thank everyone who has been watching us. Please share, like, comment, give us the questions you want to ask Pastor Malin. And of course, next Sunday we shall be here to relay the questions to him and we shall continue from there. See you in the next one. Have a best day. Get your Easter and please enjoy your day. See you in the next one. Bye bye.